Hello, sir. We're extremely grateful to have you here during our journal release and our journal, getting the people to write the journals. And it'll be extremely inspiring for them to, listen to your few words, because we have seen you write a lot of journals, and then you have completely a great experience of variety of topics we have seen you write, and then getting it published in very well known and renowned publications and journal accreditations. So we will be happy to have you here. Now, one thing I was always curious about is TJEF is your baby. You gave idea this concept of TJEF and making students write so many journals, and bringing the idea of write a journal in your student life was your concept. So how did it come to you, and the implementation of it was?
Okay, so this, well, thank you for the question. As you know, I've been associated with TJEF since I came to TAPMI in 2013. Then we slowly started thinking about, what do Indian business school students do? And because of my extensive years of spending time outside the country, I realized that, most business school students don't get to write. And that's when I realized that, you guys are very good at memorization, but when we want to do something really, put your thoughts together and do some research and analysis, that wasn't happening. And there was no media also. There was no media platform available, at least for TAPMI students. That's when I thought, okay, let me just float a journal and we'll call it TAPMI Journal of Economics and Finance. So it's largely because I'm a film faculty, so you can blame it on me for not having a generic management name, but more economics and finance. And that time, finance was a very, very small group in TAPMI. We had 30 students or something like that. Today, we have a whole program and all that stuff. So I wanted students to do research, actually learn how to do research. And that was something that was not happening. And coincidentally, we had set up a wonderful finance lab. And I wanted to sort of, interact between Finance Lab, Samnadi, TJEF. So there would be all the data available for you that you want to do, that you want to extract. And you could do some very interesting investment reports if you wanted to do. And then said, okay, here is a very interesting question, but I want to be able to do more analysis, but I don't have an opportunity to write somewhere. And the writing is something that's critical, because in your jobs, when you convocate and go, you have to do a lot of research reports. It is the best possible time for you to learn how to research, how to look at the literature, how to position your problem, and how to sort of methodologically address the issues. So that no business school can teach you, no course can cover that in a B school program. That's where it all started.
Certainly, sir. Since its inception, TJEF come a long way till now. Can you share us your experience when the first edition of the journal was?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you're still using the second floor boardroom in the finance lab, which used to be my home. I don't know how many million hours I've spent in that sort of enclosure, the finance lab and then the boardrooms and stuff. So there we had the very first set of editors, and there were some excellent students, Vinayak Prabhu, Nikki Kalibar, all those people who were there at that time, Neha Agarwal, so sort of people who really were top students. And so when I said, I want you to look at this, they said, but we have not done any editorial responsibilities. So how do we go about doing this? And then sort of I explained to them, this is what a job editor should be calling for papers. Let's start with TAPMI first. Let's float this idea to TAPMI students to see if they were interested in even contributing a piece. And so I spent a lot of time with these guys. And so then it so happened that students also were very interested in writing something. Of course, the first set of papers were very raw, because you were never taught how to research in your undergraduate days. And that's where the problem actually begins. You directly come to a master's program and you don't know how to write a research paper. So we ran some sessions on how to do literature review, how do you cite, how do you use citations here, where do you do references, how do you do an introduction, why shouldn't you plagiarize? So a lot of those things were also done by the editors. And we had some great people in the editorial board, and they were very quick to pick up things, and they were able to handle everything. So, I was very sort of pleased to see the set of people who are Bloomberg champions, who were also editors of journals of TJEF, and somebody who was not part of the Samnidhi or part of the Bloomberg program. They were also part of the journal editorial board. I think it's, as you rightly said, it's come a long way. I mean, when I started, this was very, very small. We took baby steps. But now I see you guys are doing so many things. Breakfast mailers are happening every day, and very interesting stuff that comes out. I read it every day. And so I think you guys have done a great step forward. But I want to thank all the editors, who were there before. Yeah, it would not be a good idea for me to not thank them because they did some great work with very limited resources. So my sincere thanks to all those editors who served TJEF in the best possible way.
We've talked about how you kind of evolved the, liking of write or wanting to write the research paper in students. But we really like to know how this, interest sparked in you to write research papers from, let's say, from the beginning to how it has been evolved till now.
Yeah, this is okay. So one of the reasons, Sri Lakshmi, do your PhD is to learn how to write. And when professors or when people like me would have embarked on a PhD program, we would have decided that we want to be professors. One of the key requirements of this PhD is what I call the training. The training is, it teaches you the tricks of the trade, but it is just the beginning baby step to be a professor, right? Because you're a PhD doesn't mean that you become a prof. You really have to learn how to write, how to research, how to publish. So it is a lifelong process. And I was sort of, very excited about the fact that you're actually paid to do something that you love. Like, you get a salary to be a professor, like you guys will get to go to the industry, whatever. But, writing is something I enjoy. And writing is not easy. Communication is never easy. Writing is really, really hard. But what a good PhD program does to you is it allows you to go through this intellectual journey. It's a mind of inquiry, right? It lets you think, oh my God, I like the paragraph, it's flowing together. So writing is a very long, difficult process. You don't learn that in 1-2 years. I still haven't mastered it. When I think I'm a really good writer, I can write excellent, introduction on papers, but I haven't mastered it. I mean, it takes a hell of a lot of time to do it. But with experience, you're able to do it. But I wanted you guys to have a little bit of that experience where you feel, here is my thought, but it's all not very structured. Let me see if I can take some data, do some analysis, put it together. And so when an external person reads it, he or she understands what we communicate. And that experience is what I wanted you to have. And it's what I want you to have.
So building upon that, what do you look for when selecting a research topic, and what do you think other authors who write research papers should look for when finalizing their research topic?
See, one is what contribution you make. So when I start working on a paper or a topic, it takes 3 to 4 years to finish a paper. So right behind you is the whiteboard, which has got all my papers that I'm currently working on. Or some of them are already published and some are new ideas. So when you pick up a topic, the first thing is, what is so interesting about this? Why do I even want to study this question? So my research work is basically about emotions and managerial judgment, right? Why should sunshine have any impact on what a manager does? Why should I study? And if I study it, what is the use to you, right? So we start looking at, why is this question so interesting? What is so puzzling about this problem that I really want to solve? And if I do solve it, so what? Who's going to read it, right? So the first thing I do is look at the literature, look at this question that is sort of exciting me. Okay, let me do a bit more reading about it. The more you read, the better you write. So once I have a reasonable question that I have in mind, then I think, okay, now let me do a bit more analysis and see what are the sorts of things people have already asked. See, it's not that we're starting something ground up. There is an established literature for many of the things that we do, right? So you want to position your work in that literature. So then we think, okay, this is a very important question. Unfortunately, people haven't answered it. Let's try and work on this. And then the real hard work slog begins. Getting the data, doing analysis, looking at the literature, looking at what the hypothesis is, what are we hypothesizing, why are we hypothesizing that way? And then you see something that is absolutely nothing to a finished product. It takes like 16 months, 18 months, whatever it takes, 20 months, 24 months. Some more papers have taken 5-6 years to complete and get it published in top 10s. It's a painful process, but I think it's the most amazing process. I would do it every single day. That's why you are here. That is why you are a professor. If you cannot publish, well, then you haven't done justice to your PhD. Then you haven't done justice to your profession, because a professor should be creating new knowledge. Research is about new knowledge. It is about really pushing the boundary and asking those fundamentally intuitive, interesting questions. But sometimes you will go nowhere with it. You will never get published. So what? At least I made an attempt to answer the proper question.
Okay. That was very insightful on how to write a paper, how to choose a topic. But let's be honest, sir, sometimes finance, economics, all these topics can be a little intimidating to pick up. A lot of financial data, a lot of analysis to be done on it. Now, according to you, what can we as TJEF do so that put out information to the students so that they're more interested in picking up a topic and at least trying to write a paper on it?
Okay, two things I would like to say to you. One is, I understand that you have a very small time period in TAPMI, 2 years, and the first year a lot of fundamental courses. So you may not have the necessary background to do what I did, and I don't think the expectation is of that kind anyway, right? My expectation continues to be, Sri Lakshmi, is that I want every student to think about whatever. So today we're talking about, let's say, for example, diplomacy, or we're talking about the Israel-Palestine conflict. I mean, who is to say that's not an important question to ask? What are the economic consequences? What are the economic consequences of? So why is India buying 35% of its oil still from Russia? So if we were not allowed to do it, what would have happened? So what have happened to the crude oil price? There are many questions we can ask. These seem to be very simple questions, but there's a lot of economic data behind it. What I would like to do is I would like your mind to continue to tick in such a way, oh, I need to look at forex reserves. I need to look at what is the crude oil production and see what OPEC is doing. I need to see what is the impact if I have to buy Russian oil. What would America say? What would be the impact on foreign policy? So there are many moving balls, right? But a student should be able, an astute finance or a management student should be able to go through this process of understanding and sort of synthesize the thoughts and put it in a 5 or 6 or 8 page document, right? This is where you write as Newton writes, which is that you don't do what I tend to use, unfortunately, what called dog's breakfast, where we put our mouth in 10 different things. We take one idea and we flesh through this little idea, and then we produce a really interesting, crafty piece that an external person even thinks, wow, this is really good analysis by a management student. So I'm not wanting you to write a piece that's going to win a Nobel. Definitely not. Neither will I win it, nor will some of us win it, right? So that's not the idea. The idea is, do you know the art of researching? Do you know how to use the Bloomberg terminal? Now, you are so blessed in this institute that you got 16 Bloomberg terminals. And I'm telling you guys, the largest mid-sized banks in this country don't have these terminals. Go to Deloitte, go to other consulting firms, go to banks. They don't have any more than 1 or 2 terminals. You're endowed with resources. You have the Reuters, the Icon platform, you have Bloomberg, you have everything. I want you to pick out the data that you need and answer a question that is as real as today. It does not have to be an academic piece at all. And I don't expect you to do it because you haven't got the necessary training. What I want PGP1 and PGP2, and particularly BKF students also do, is to look at issues that are really happening. I mean, don't we have economic questions to answer in this country? So you look at the 16th Finance Commission. Now we're talking about a 10% GDP growth. Surely a good economist, a good financial economist would like to pick up something like that and talk about what do we need to do. Some of these things you will draw from other sources. But and this doesn't have to be one student doing it. I would like to see a set of co-authors, set of students, 3 or 4 people writing together. Somebody can be very good in data. Somebody can be very good in analysis. Somebody can be really good at, hey, I know how to put these things together. So this is really good teamwork. And this also promotes teamwork. It promotes a lot of learning. And it should not be limited to finance or economics or accounting student. I would like an HR student, a marketing student to come in together and do some really interesting piece.
That was really insightful, sir. It's really motivating us to write more such papers.
You should.
Now, for this year's Journal of Us, we have kept the open theme for anyone to write on anything under management. What topics do you think the authors could delve into this year that are happening?
There are so many things happening around us, around the world. I mean, I don't think you even need to go outside India. There are some very interesting fundamental questions that we can address today. So if somebody wants to look at, economic growth, prosperity, somebody wants to look at, employment issues. I mean, look at what's happened post-COVID. Post-COVID, the world of work has changed, right? There are huge number of issues that today industries are facing, not just in India, around the world. We can pick up any of those areas to look at. We can look at what is the World Economic Forum talking about, the changing face of employability. The skill sets that you guys had 5 years ago is no longer relevant today. Okay. You can even look at what should business schools do from your perspective? What is the curriculum of a business school? I don't expect you to be like Peter Tufano at Oxford or the Judge School or Berkeley, but I'm certainly thinking if you said, what, this is a really cool idea because as a student, what do I think the curriculum should be for top B school? What are the employability requirements you should have before you get a job? But take industry. So automation happens in the banking industry. Has anybody done even a good sectoral analysis? Why? The RBI's Paytm is you? Is that not important? You have so many interesting schemes today the government has launched. You can pick one of those schemes and do an excellent piece providing the greatest possible insights on those schemes. Whether it is providing water in Leh Ladakh, whether it is 30 crore households getting direct water supply through the taps. I mean, you can take a governmental scheme and you can actually educate people. What is the point of writing a paper? Ganesh, right?
Yes. No.
The point is to communicate to people, here is an idea, here is a question we wanted to answer. Here is something we've really found interesting. It's not a complete piece. No paper is a perfect paper. But you would have made a beginning, which somebody at BJP, one student reads and says, wow, this is something these guys have done. I would love to build on it. So pick anything that is interesting, and there is enormous data available today in this country, in our hands, in this very campus. You don't have to leave the KKY block. You have so much data available to do excellent questions. Think about HR challenges. You speak to HR guys and ask them, how has work changed for them? There are so many companies that are still working from home, right? Would you have imagined 5 years ago? The impact of COVID. Okay, another issue. Women are very underrepresented in boards today. I just have a recent paper that I've completed on gender diverse boards. And this is specifically in the times of crisis. The theory tells you that in times of crisis, women are much better leaders than men. It's proven. Some doubts? Reasonably compelling evidence. We just submitted a paper to a top journal today on looking at what has been the impact of COVID on firms that are gender diverse. We show when you have gender diverse boards, where the fraction of female directors are higher, the firm produces higher abnormal returns. Of course, the paper is quite long. I don't want to get to the specifics of it, but it clearly tells you these are important questions. And why? You look at Fortune 500 and Fortune 100. There is tremendous amount of women underrepresentation on boards in the US, which is supposed to be one of the world's most sophisticated economy. And if I'm lying to you, pick up the Deloitte 2023 report, pick up the Deloitte 21 report, 2019 report, ECOLA 2023, you will find very clearly documented on how racial ethnic minorities aren't even finding a place in the boardroom. If this isn't important, what else is important? There are 100 questions like this.
Just one last question on this line. After seeing this interview, I'm sure many students want to write. But again, just a few lines to those who are just a little apprehensive. Should I take this up? TJEF journal is there. Why do I have to do this?
Okay. See, I mean, guys, some of these things are very innate. It comes from within. I can't really put a gun to your head and say, you gotta write. That won't happen. But to a student who is worried about writing, I say to him or her, don't you bother about it, because everyone has to start somewhere. I remember my first paper. In fact, I still have a copy of my first chapter of my PhD dissertation. And the final version, I swear to God, I wouldn't want to look at the first draft. It is so badly written. Okay? So, not everybody is going to be Shakespeare. Not everybody is going to be wordsmith. I have become one over a period of time. But it takes a long, long, long journey, right? So to some of you who are wondering today, should I take up, should I not? You shouldn't even think. The answer is you should. Because as an MBA student, Your boss sometimes is going to tell you, you know what? I want to know whether I should pick supply. Give me a 5 minute. I'll give you half a day. Give me a quick 2 page report on it. You've got to learn to put those ideas, pitch in a very, very short, crispy way. And writing is the only way you can do it. So my strongest recommendation to you, if you feel, I'm sort of intimidated, I don't think this is for me, not a problem. Talk about that idea to either a faculty mentor or to one of the editors or to another student in your class, in your cohort, and say, listen, can we sort of combine forces? Can we work on this together? Look, I'm not really great at writing, but I have really good understanding of econometrics or statistics. I can model better. My background is in, hardcore economics. I can bring in that kind of stuff and I can help you fine tune, but I'm not a great writer, right? Perhaps there's another student in the cohort who's an excellent writer, who's able to synthesize not declared stocks, but doesn't have that, understanding of econometric tools and techniques. And then these two guys come together, they learn from each other, they produce a 6 to 8 page piece, which everybody reads. I mean, if this isn't fun, what else is fun? If this isn't learning, what else is learning? If this isn't challenge, what else is a challenge? If this isn't what you came here to do, what else would you like to do? So it is scary. I mean, public speaking is a very, very scary thing for people to do. Many people are not comfortable. I mean, they start sweating and, you can see the palm sweat and all that. It happens to people. But you're in a university, you're in a business school. And business school students should learn how to put forward their ideas. So I say to all of you who are going to watch this or read this, pick up writing as soon as possible. You have a fantastic set of people who are running the journal. Go to them. You have a good set of editors that we have discussed today, faculty who are excellent publishers, the professors themselves. They can help you. So get on to it as soon as possible.
We're moving on to a quick rapid fire session. So we'd like you to answer these questions with a few words or a sentence if you like.
Generally very long in the responses. So thanks for the heads up.
Yeah, moving on.
One word for your life at TAPMI.
Fun.
One word for your current role.
Exciting.
Expectation from students in the field of research.
But if this will soon be one word, I hope to see you guys publish in the top journals. I hope to see some of you take a PhD course program. I mean, we have very few students starting to get into PhD programs. I hope this journey, this experience excites you to enroll in a PhD program outside India.
One thing that you look for in your co-author.
Commitment.
One thing that's a deal breaker in your co-author.
Critique.
Well, one last question, which is a tough one for you. Bangalore or Manipal?
Both. Which you will really ask me? Well, this is a really tough one. If I say Bangalore, Manipal will be happy. If I say Manipal, Bangalore will be happy. At this point, I'm shuttling between both towns. Manipal has something that no other town has. It is a very magical place. I began my first job in India in Manipal. Manipal has a very, very special place in my heart. And more than Manipal, TAPMI has it. So you cannot take away TAPMI from me ever in my life until my last breath.
Well, with this, we come to the end of a wonderful interview session. Just by sitting here, I was very much motivated. I felt like continuing it for the whole day, but let's be practical. We all have works to do. But thank you so much for this time that you gave us, the small bits of information. I think from this interview itself, people get enough topics to choose for their writing. So it is great to have you here. Always you run shuttling, but then we want you here, sir. That's it.
Thank you very much to all of you, and I wish all of you the very best. The PGP one, an excellent internship opportunity. The PGP two are about to convocate and getting jobs. Wishing you the very best in your careers, and I hope to see TAPMI produce some great professors as well. Produce great leaders since 1984. I would also love to see some of you take up a program with Stanford or Columbia or Princeton or MIT or Sydney or Melbourne or Brown, Rice. Pick up a school, Minnesota, some of the great schools in econ and finance, and maybe do a really good PhD program, and perhaps you'll come back to TAPMI as a professor, like I did when I was not a TAPMIan, but I've enjoyed this amazing tennis, and I continue to teach PGP1, which is something I every day look forward to going and teaching this PGP1 finance course. So I hope to see some of you come back as professors. We need more of you, and I hope this interview can excite you a little bit about it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.